Reddit users, please share your stories about what's the dumbest thing someone accused you of without any evidence. A college roommate reported me to the campus police for selling drugs. She stated that she was in our dorm room and overheard me selling drugs to another student in the laundry room. Our dorm room was on the 12th floor, laundry room was in the basement of the building. She got pissed when campus police laughed at her statement. She told a mutual friend that she did it because she was trying to ruin my reputation as she was sick of people liking me more than her. She was batshit crazy. She obviously didn't think through her plan at all. She also had a very sheltered life, so selling drugs was probably the worst thing she could think of. But once the word spread, my reputation did go up, although I had to disappoint many customers, lol. Bro, I worked in a cafe and it was full. We had a small queue at the door. It's a nice vibe, a buzz, everyone's chatting, etc. In walk a South Asian family. No big deal. But their kid was wailing like properly raw screaming, and everyone in the cafe, customers and staff, turned and looked because it was such a shock. They left a review the next day saying staff were racist and stared at them. I honestly gave up that day. Some people just want to be angry and feel victimized, and it made me sad. One time I started getting a bunch of texts from an ex accusing me of being on a trip with some other girl and throwing all kinds of insults my way. Not only was she my ex and I was not talking to her or planning to reconcile, so that if I was in fact on a trip with some other girl it was none of her business, but I was actually literally sitting on my couch with my dog watching TV. I told her I hadn't the slightest idea of what she was yelling about and sent her a picture of me and my dog in my living room. She replied, FCK, and I didn't hear from her for weeks until the crazy ultimately outweighed any embarrassment she felt. To this day I have no idea why she thought I was on a trip in the first place, especially since her texts were pretty specific and she mentioned where she claimed I was and other details. I was in either first grade or kindergarten, and the chain link fence on the side of our playground had fallen over or caved in. Me and my friends looked at it and wondered how it happened. Then a teacher came by and yelled at us for breaking the fence, and we all got put in timeout for the rest of recess. We were 6, how would we mangle a chain link fence with our hands? Insubordination for failing to report into work for over a month. I resigned a month earlier. In high school, some kid threw an apple along the back wall towards where the teachers were sitting. Kind of chucked it along the ground so that it skipped all the way there. I was sat a couple seats down across the table from him. The tables were really long, and with how the people were clustered together it was pretty obvious which cluster the apple came from. One of the teachers stormed over and asked who threw the apple, and of course nobody said anything. He looked around and pointed at me and said, "You threw it, I know it, come with me." I told him I didn't throw anything and I wasn't going anywhere. He said, "I know it was you, how could you prove it wasn't?" I said, "I'm sitting on the wrong side of the fucking table." He told me to watch my mouth, but my jape caused the actual perpetrator to bust out laughing, which pulled the teacher's ire off me. My brother accused me of sneaking into his room and stealing $1 a few months ago. Why steal $1 when I was making my own money at the time? What could I possibly gain from stealing exactly $1? One day when I was in 5th grade, a female collie followed me home from school. I walked around the neighborhood trying to find the owner, but nobody knew whose dog she was. I left my neighborhood and crossed a 4-lane. I carried her so she wouldn't get hit by a car. I didn't own a dog leash. After knocking doors and asking around, I had to go home, but she just kept following me. I picked her back up and carried her back across the 4-lane, put her down, and we walked another block. Then the owner pulled up, stopped in the middle of the intersection, got out of his car, and called her. She ran to him and hopped up in the car. I told him I'd been trying to find her owners for hours. The old bastard said, "Yeah, someone saw you carrying her," implying that I stole her. Then he plopped his fat ass back in his Cadillac and sped away. No good deed. In high school, half the school thought I was gay, and the other half thought I was a vegetarian. I'm neither, and I have no idea how the two related. being a thief because I was a student. Money was going missing from the tills in the bar I worked at on some evenings and weekends. Walked into work and got called out back with the manager. Was told money was missing and was suspended there and then. I asked when this money went missing and it wasn't even when I was working. I asked why I was the prime suspect and the manager's wife pointed the finger at me because I was a student and therefore must have needed the money. About a week later, the actual thief was caught red-handed putting money from the till into his pocket by the manager. This was back the mid-90s, so no cameras to view, which would have cleared it up straight away. Instead, they cast blame with evidence that actually proved it couldn't have been me because the times the money went missing, I wasn't even there, but hey ho. Shortly after moving to our neighborhood, I met the aging lady 2 doors down. Her name was Cynthia. We exchanged a few pleasantries and then she warned me about the guy who lived in the house between us. She went on to tell me that Wade had hopped over her fence and taken a big dump in her backyard. Over the next few years, I had gotten to know Wade but always had that crazy image in my mind of him scaling her chain link fence, dropping his drawers, and squat squeezing one out. Eventually, I had to ask him about it. So Wade, your next door neighbor once told me that you took a shit in her yard. His eyes popped wide and he started laughing. Turns out, she had warned him of the guy who lived on the other side of her. She had told him that Mike had jumped over her fence and crapped in her lawn. Soon after, a couple moved in across the street. Cynthia quickly struck up a conversation with them and added me to the list of serial poopers. As far as I know, nobody has actually climbed over her fence and dropped a load in her backyard. But hey, I can't wait to hear about who's next. My ex accused me of raping my daughter. Not fun. Most not fun part is, as she has no evidence, the cops shut down the case, so, in accordance to French laws, I can't sue for false statements as I didn't go to court nor did she make those claims publicly, in a paper or something. When I was around 8 or 10, my aunt, seriously, accused me of killing her cat because she couldn't find him. Turns out he was behind the dryer. An older woman coworker gossiped about me having an affair with another coworker because we were on a bowling team together and I drove him home one night after work. She spread it all around the nursing home where we all worked. I'm very non-confrontational, but I was young and newly married and shocked that someone would lie about something so vile. I confronted her in front of everyone and reported her to our managers. She quit soon after. My wife got really ill after the birth of our daughter, and I was a single dad for a while. I was sitting in a tram with my 3-month-old daughter. She was really quiet during 20 minutes. Her pacifier fell, and she complained for a few seconds, before I could clean it and give it back to her. An old lady was sitting next to us during the whole ride. She told us loudly, "No wonder that baby is crying. She should be with her mother. Where is she? Did you steal the baby?" Breaking a guy's car window, I was walking down the street with my friend and walked past this van with a taped-up window in the back. This guy came running out of his apartment and told us that we broke his window, what his intentions were, but we just kept it moving and that was that. A kid in middle school said I was faking brain cancer for attention. I was not faking. My first job was in a kitchen at a nursing home. A resident's wife was just terrible every day she showed up. One day she accused me of being on drugs and I was forced to take a test. Later I came to find out she thought my inability to maintain eye contact was proof I was on something. No, ma'am, that's just my autism, but thanks for noticing. Friends, thank you for watching. Please share your stories below in the comments and see you on the next videos. Have a good day.